Hey, and welcome to episode 22 of the the Cellarcast. Let's see. It's Thanksgiving week this week. I don't really have any plans for Thanksgiving Day. That's kind of how my family rolls. But I will be doing something with Kat a few days beforehand. We're gonna have like a little friends Thanksgiving. So that'll be fun. Speaking of, before I got into talking about stuff, so Kat and I went on Friday to go see the new Ghostbusters movie, and I no thoughts to share about the movie. At least now, what I specifically wanted to talk about, it was fun, I liked it. What I wanted to talk about was before the movie. That was, I think, maybe one of the most memorable parts of it. Because, well, there was two things. First of all, so there's obviously like an hour of previews and commercials before it starts. And so this ad comes up, and and it's this actor. It's not clear what the commercial's for at the beginning. It's this actor guy, I don't remember what his name is, and he's kind of walking through this sort of green screened in future museum type thing where little holograms come up of historical exhibits, I guess. And he starts talking about basically you miss 100% of the shots you don't take and all that type of stuff. It's really building up you gotta take risks, and you gotta be different, and you gotta look ahead. And he's walking through these exhibits of all these so how many people have almost accomplished things, but they never did because they didn't take the risk. They weren't bold enough. And then it starts showing astronauts, and I'm like, oh, is this gonna be like a SpaceX thing, maybe some kind of STEM program like that, or something like that, something adventuring, pushing the boundaries of human achievement and technology. And he gets to, eventually comes to this window, and outside of the window you can see it's a view of Mars, he's in a space station. And then he goes, fortune favors the bold, and then it hard cuts to the logo, crypto.com, and Kat and I just lost our shit laughing in the theater. That was the funniest thing. Oh my god. Most of the rest of the theater we went to see, it was like a matinee on a Friday, so I don't know if anyone, basically everyone else there was it was all old people, I guess. And I don't know if they just didn't, I don't know how that came off to them. We thought that was hilarious, having all of this build up about how it felt like watching a propaganda film. But you gotta take risks, and just ideas and things to get you emotionally excited, and then saying to drop just a pound of bricks, crypto.com. Oh my god, come on. The other thing is that the previews weren't much better. And here's what I find interesting. Okay, maybe this is just because I'm an editor, right? And if anyone's been to a movie theater recently, feel free to chime in, especially if you don't do editing stuff, because I don't know if this is just a me thing. The first part, I guess, wouldn't be okay. So there was a bunch of previews, and what was really obnoxious is that all of the maybe not all of them, but man, it felt at least half or over half of them were this really obnoxious trailer plus behind the scenes format, where so there was a trailer for for like the new like Scream soft reboot, and it's playing like a trailer, but then it cuts to the actors doing like behind the scenes stuff, like that you'd find in like an extra or on YouTube, like promotional stuff. And the actors are literally just explaining the plot of the movie as the trailer is explaining the plot of the movie with the clips of the movie. And this is annoying. So this is okay. This is annoying because like 2 weeks ago we went to the theater to see Last Night in Soho, and I remember seeing a trailer for the exact same movie, for the new Scream movie, and it was just the trailer. It didn't have this. And so I remember, so I have the comparison point in my head now of like the watching the second version with all of these like interviews, you actually get nothing more out of it. I don't know why they do it. The audience doesn't get any more information unless they just assume that people are like too stupid. I don't know. It really feels like it's not a trailer. It feels like you go and watch a video, like a promotional video on YouTube, where they're assuming you haven't seen the trailer yet, and most of the video is actually just interview stuff, like interview snippets from like the press tour. But it's being played in a theater. You can just play the like 2-minute trailer. Why are you doing this? And what's so infuriating about it, and this is where I want to know if anyone else experiences this or picks up on this, is that you can hear every time they cut away from the footage of the actual actors, every time they cut to what is basically just the trailer with the interview audio still playing over it, is they cut the hell out of it. Like, it is so noticeable. I immediately noticed it. And it's so aggravating just to my ears to hear constant, really obvious audio cuts to make people to construct sentences, either to take out pauses or, I don't know, maybe even arrange things they said to make new sentences. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like, it was such a worse experience than just watching the original trailer. Than just, all you need is just the trailer, and then at the end, you know, you say like, "Scream, make you cream," you know, whatever the tagline is. But instead, they decide like, no, we need to up, I don't know, the engagement. I don't know what the point of throwing in all of this interview footage is. It's just nonsense. It adds literally nothing, and I think that you would honestly be better off if you just saw the original without all the extra footage added in, because it completely ruins. Like, someone put time into constructing a trailer. Like, it's a decent trailer, right? For the original, or the original trailer. It's a decent trailer. Someone put time into like constructing and editing parts of, you know, the scenes from the movie to build your intrigue and to let you know what's going on. And it's like a very competently made, solid like trailer, and then they just all over it. They just take like their, you know, bottle of ketchup and they just all over it, and it completely mucks it up. There's zero tension, there's zero interest. It's just annoying. Anyway, the movie itself, the new Ghostbusters was good. The new Nutbusters Afterglow. It was fun. Yeah. Honestly, that crypto ad was funnier than anything in the movie. Anyway, comment review time. So this one comes to us from Losey. So he says, the leaks, so this is referring to the Guilty Gear leaks. The leaks are right until today, which is true. There was a leak Like as soon as the PC, pardon me, as soon as the PC version came out, it immediately got data mined, and all the supposedly the first season of DLC characters was leaked from that. Just their name, just through like folder names. So far, they've all been correct. So the next two characters, he says, will be Jam and Asuka, which is weird. I wasn't expecting Jam to be in the first season. Jam feels like a season 2 character. It's weird that Jam would be like a priority. It's kind of odd. In Grand Blue Versus, you have a pile driver. I'm assuming it was like he meant pile bunker, because I was talking about the Slayer move last time, with a single button for the weaker version of the movement, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so that's the thing, is that that's very. Yeah, we'll put a pin in that. Put a pin in that for a little later. But that's a very good comparison to make with like fighting games with easy inputs, because in Grand Blue they added this kind of system where you could do the motion for a special move, or you could do they had a special button, and it basically worked like Smash Brothers, where you just did a motion plus, or is it motion plus special, or whatever. I think it's motion plus special, and you could do basically fast, weaker versions of your special moves, and that is honestly fine. Like the thing is that the game is balanced around it. You can't take. It's not a problem to have easy inputs. You just have to make sure that the game is balanced around it, and that you are making up for. Motion inputs are not a bad thing. They're not a design flaw. They're just a thing that the game is balanced around. You can't just take them out and leave your game as is, as if it had them. You have to make some kind of concession, which is like Fantasy Strike does, where you have like a one button DP, but it costs health until you get down to like 1 health, and then it's free, which is like, okay, that's fair. Or certain moves, they make the decision, and that's a thing that they have to design the game around. You can do whatever you want in your game as long as you design the rest of the game around it, as long as it's cohesive. And it's at that point it becomes a different experience. So like one of the things in Grand Blue is that the easy inputs in Grand Blue kind of ended up the same way that auto combos ended up in Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is where the easy inputs are there, and if you're newer to the game, then they can make things easier. But once you get to an intermediate and higher level, they don't go away. It's just that it's a part of the game that players learn when they need to use it. Like, if someone's jumping at you and you don't have the time to do forward, down, down, forward, plus a button, but you can do, up special, then just do that. If you're waiting, if you have a move that's a half circle, let's say, but you can also just do the fast version with a single button, and you're looking for your opponent to whiff a move, and they whiff it, and then you can punish it, then use it. The best players who understand the system and understand the game use the easy inputs and the harder, or like the full motions when they need them. They make the decision on the spot. Same way that auto combos work. Combos in Dragon Ball FighterZ didn't just become mashing one button. They became pretty complex, and oftentimes would work in auto combos for things like hit confirming, or for just making certain parts easier or simpler, or some things that would be really, really difficult, borderline impossible, but are made somewhat easier by being able to just mash for that one part. That's fine. You just have to learn to work with the system. Having easy inputs doesn't necessarily make something good or bad. It's just you got to design around it. And again, yeah, as he says, a weaker version of the movement, or of the move. That's how Granblue chose to do it, and that's perfectly fine. And then his last, the part of the question of his comment: where is the Activision Blizzard section this time? Well, there was no Activision Blizzard news last week, but this week, oh boy, oh, you got your wish, Lozy. Oh boy, play the song. Play the song. Yep. You know what time it is, guys. It's time to suffer. It's time for sadness. Bye is sadness. So I am just sitting at home, on a Tuesday. The podcast went up the previous day. Feeling good. Yeah, last week kind of a slow news week. Not too much super interesting stuff. Just kind of ended up talking about a single tournament for like 2 hours. It was fun. Maybe the news will pick up. Bam! Coming to us from the Wall Street Journal, courtesy of Kirsten Grind. Or Grind? Grind. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick told an employee he would have her killed. He kept an exec from being fired after a sexual harassment claim. He didn't tell his board of alleged rapes and other misconduct. Our Wall Street Journal investigation. Woo! Woo! I almost fell out of my chair. when I read that. That's like part of the reason the last video came out late. I was working, and then I got derailed for like an hour or two because this news was just, and it just kept coming out. It just so Mrs. I'm gonna call her Grind, I guess. Ms. Grind has been so courteous because the original article is locked behind a paywall, and she's been so courteous as to lay down the important details in a thread. Since California filed suit against Activision Blizzard in July, the company has received more than 500 internal reports of sexual harassment, assault, and other issues. Mind you, this is since they filed it in July. I got the middle months mixed up. Let me look how far. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 4 months ago, right? 4 months ago, they've had 500 internal reports of sexual harassment, assault. Yeek! Since then, the gall. This is why things like sensitivity training don't work. This is why these things don't work. Because you can tell someone that something is bad and wrong and whatever, and then if they're really the type of person, the type of low-life person who is going to be groping people and harassing women or men, men were harmed in this as well. Not as many as the women, though. If you are that type of person, you don't care. They had a lawsuit filed against them, the biggest sexual harassment scandal in gaming history ever, in like the 40, arguably 50 years since this industry has existed. This is the biggest scandal ever. And you still go and grope women. They don't give a fuck. You just have to fire them. Just get them out. You can't help them. Their parents failed them. The system failed them. It's not your job as the employer to spoon feed basic information about how to be respectful to other people to your employees. It's not your job. Just fire them. Jesus. Soon after being appointed to co-head One of Activision's most successful units, co-head of one of, okay, she missed a word, of one of Activision's most successful units, Blizzard, longtime exec Jen Oneal sent a scathing internal email saying she didn't think leadership could fix the culture problems. She didn't think leadership could fix the culture problems. She said she had been sexually harassed and wanted to resign. Under Kotick, Activision's game studios were allowed to operate on their own, creating cultures that a spokeswoman told us led to some employees conducting themselves in, quote, truly regrettable ways. Employees were told to keep quiet, even as execs sent out laudatory farewell notes. Oh, I can't even imagine being harassed by someone in that kind of a way. And then when they leave, watching your boss or your manager write a note about how great they were. I can't. That seems maddening. I would lose my mind. We've looked at dozens of internal documents and spoken to many, many people over these months. A story like this isn't possible without incredible sources. We can't thank you enough for your bravery. Whew. So there's like a ton to unpack because stuff just kept coming out. So Jen Oneal, oh geez, did I save that? Save that. So Jen Oneal, she basically wrote, if you don't remember, she was when this thing happened, J. Allen Brack, the previous president of Blizzard, decided to step down, which I think was a good move. I think he just had to get out of there. I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he was just destructively incompetent. And it also inherited a terrible situation from Mike Morhaime. Fuck that guy. Some people might be hesitant to say fuck Mike Morhaime. I have no connection to Blizzard. That guy sucks. He's a fucking idiot. And it's his fault for letting a culture like this breed. Remember, a fish rots from the top. This is well before they were acquired by Activision, right? The fish rots from the head. I'm a big fan of the passage from the New Testament. There's this story from the New Testament. What exactly happens? Jesus basically points to a tree, and he says, a good tree creates good fruit, and a bad tree creates bad fruit. Which you can just as easily apply to trees as you can people. At some point, maybe if we're seeing the fruits, right? We're seeing the fruits right now. Basically, Jen Oneal, she was appointed. Two people were appointed as co-leaders of Blizzard, which is already kind of weird. A guy named Mike Ybarra and a lady named Jen Oneal. Now, Mike Ybarra is still there, but weeks, and we talked about this like 2 episodes ago, mere weeks after being brought on, Jen Oneal she said that she was going to be leaving at the end of the year, so in like a few months, which is probably the earliest she could, according to her contract. Pardon me. When was she brought on? Like a few months ago? So like, I don't know, maybe there's a clause about how long she had to stay on. But you have to remember that. So she wrote about feeling a few words. She said that she had worked at Activision for a long time, and then she was this is a lady who she's an accomplished professional in this industry, and she's been hanging in there for like 10 years at least, working at one of the biggest companies. So for her, because it was obvious when she got assigned the role of co-leader that this was a PR thing, and in the least charitable way possible, you call it a virtue signal, or, you know, result of identity politics, whatever you want to throw in. It was clear that it was because it looks good to have a woman be in leadership. And honestly, I don't blame her. To her, that's, you know, pretty tokenizing. I feel like I talked about this before, but I think it bears repeating, because this is, you know, a woman who's like very respectable, and she didn't feel like she was given the respect that she deserved. Let me see if I can find that. Jen O'Neill letter. Leaves Blizzard? Maybe? Jen O'Neill internal email, maybe? Yeah, so, okay, this one's come from... Right. Okay. Jesus, I forgot about the walkout. Okay, so this one's coming from the gamer via Sean Murray. Sean Murray, isn't that... Why do I recognize Sean Murray? So probably a different one. Let's see. In a lengthy blog post, let's read this. To the Blizzard community, over the last few months, many of us have been okay, blah blah blah. For the last 20 years of my career, she's been in this for 2 decades. Imagine being imagine being in an industry for 2 decades and then you just become the woman. Jesus. Effective immediately, Mike Ybarra will lead Blizzard. Okay, so basically, she's gone. She's basically gone. But she's technically in, just probably because of contract stuff. I'm doing this not because I am without hope for Blizzard. Quite the opposite. I'm as APK's leadership. So this was this is what she posted. This is on the official Blizzard website. Where's the internal email? However, emails obtained. Oh yeah, okay. So I guess this was in the Wall Street Journal thing. Had lost faith in Activision leadership's ability to turn around its toxic work culture, writing, quote, "It was clear that the company would never prioritize our people the right way." Damn. She said, "This place is fucked." Not only that, but O'Neill found out she was making less money than her male co-lead, not even a month after Blizzard employees walked off the job, demanding more equitable pay. "I have been tokenized, marginalized, and discriminated against," O'Neill said before tendering her resignation. Jeez. So, okay. Her making less money, I don't know the full story behind that. Obviously, it looks really bad. There are many reasons that 2 people in the same position can make less money than the other. I'm not saying that it's not because of discrimination or whatever. I'm not saying it's not that. What I am saying is that we can't confirm, and it's maybe not as hard of an indictment as you might be led to believe, although it does look bad. And honestly, given what we know, it might be actual discrimination. I mean, again, the employees walked off demanding equitable pay, right? So this is not new for them. O'Neill's email also painted the disturbing picture of a party she attended with CEO Bobby Kotick in 2007, where, quote, scantily clad women danced on stripper poles, and a DJ encouraged female partygoers to drink in order for the men to have a good time. It makes me feel really, really slimy. I can see how Nah. Maybe some people... I've heard different things about this specific part. Personally, I'm of the mind that don't bring like unless it's like a very how do I describe this? Don't bring alcohol into the workplace, for one. That was the first mistake they made. Well, it might not have been the first mistake they made. If you're gonna have the alcohol in like a company setting, it should probably be at like, you know, a company party where people generally keep their manners and there's an expectation of how much is appropriate to drink and what's not okay. The stripper pole thing is very weird. I don't know why that... It's like a professionalism thing, right? This is not like... Drinking in the office is not something that should be allowed. It's first of all, it's just unprofessional. If you want to go to a strip club, fine, but that's something you do in your own time. Having like basically company endorsed stuff is odd. It's really weird. Especially because it might make female employees kind of uncomfortable. Just why do we need to have the stripper poles? It would probably make me uncomfortable. It's like, what the fuck? I don't like parties to begin with. Do you think when I'm sad because I'm around a bunch of people and there's loud music? You think the last thing that I want is someone trying to arouse me? It's gonna have like the exact opposite effect. Also, encouraging female partygoers to drink in order for the men to have a good time. That's bad. That's really bad, guys. What the fuck? For the men to have a good time? If you wanted to have, like, also male strippers there, at least you're being consistent. We could make everyone... If we're going to make people uncomfortable, we need to make everyone potentially uncomfortable, alright? We have to... At least go all the way. Encourage the men to drink to have a good time, too. For the women to have a good time. At least, if you're going to do it, just be equal opportunity about it, alright? The email shows... That is so gross. Oh, that is so creepy. That is so weird. Specifically the wording to drink in order for the men to have... I can't get over that. I want to take, like, a shower. Did I take a shower today? I don't remember if I took a shower today. No, I didn't. Did I? Okay. Whatever. I'll see how I feel in a few hours. The email shows a trend from Kotick to mistreat female staffers up to and even including making threats on their lives. That's maybe my favorite part about this. Hang on. Bobby Kotick kill. I just searched Bobby Kotick kill. Okay. The main allegations about... Okay. So, the day that O'Neill... No, hang on. Wait, when did this come out? So, there was... All this came out in a flurry. And I think it was... A lot of it comes to the Wall Street Journal article, which I wish I could read without being locked behind a fucking paywall, so I have to go to these other websites to go read it. The main allegations about Kotick are that in 2006, he left a threatening voicemail on an assistant's phone in which he threatened to have her killed. The assistant complained and Kotick settled the matter out of court. Activision spokesperson Helene Klasky told the WSJ, Mr. Kotick quickly apologized 16 years ago for the obviously hyperbolic and inappropriate voicemail, and he deeply regrets the exaggeration and tone in his voicemail to this day. He doesn't regret the threat, just his tone. What the fuck? What the fuck? What? He is gonna have her killed. That's my favorite part of this, because immediately, what I love is that people have wasted no time in adopting Bobby Kotick's new identity as attempted murderer, or Bobby Kotick will kill you. That's gonna be the title of this episode. Bobby Kotick will kill you. Oh my god. Like, immediately. People dislike him so much already that at the drop of a hat, this thing that happened 16 years ago, people were like, yeah, that guy tried to fucking kill someone. The murderer, attempted murderer, Bobby Kotick. Oh my god. In what kind of a scenario? How old was he? When was he born? Bobby Kotick. He's 58, born 1963. He's older than my dad. Jesus. 2006 minus 1963. 43. He was 43 years old. He was 43 years old, and he was leaving voicemails threatening to kill assistants? What? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Another allegation is that Kotick personally intervened in the case of Dan Bunting, then co-head of Activision's Treyarch studio, a key part of the Call of Duty series. Bunting was accused by a female employee of sexually harassing her in 2017 after a night of drinking. Activision launched an internal investigation in 2019 when this was reported and recommended Bunting to be fired, but Kotick intervened to keep him. Bunting was instead given counseling, I'm not going to go over that again, and allowed to remain at Activision. However, after the Wall Street Journal began inquiring about this incident, Bunting has now left Activision. Ooh, he got out. He got out. The report goes on to detail rape allegations made against Javier Panameno, Sledgehammer Games supervisor. The accuser's lawyer alleged he also had sexually harassed a second woman at the studio. The employee who accused him of the assaults reported that 2017 event to the police. No charges were brought. The assaults were reported to Activision in 2018, and Panameno was fired 2 months later. Okay. The accuser's lawyer added that, while her client, the charges not being brought is, I don't know if that's police incompetence or lack of evidence. Things like that are very difficult. It's hard to prove. It's hard to prove that kind of stuff. So it was good that he was fired, though. The accuser's lawyer added that while her client had not reported the incidents to Activision before leaving in November 2017, she had reported them to Sledgehammer's HR department while at the company. The report also alleges that former Blizzard technology chief Ben Kilgore faced multiple allegations of sexual harassment over several years and lied in an internal investigation about a relationship with a lower-level employee. Kilgore was fired in 2018 with Kotick's approval. It's very flip-flop. He did defend that guy that one time, but other times maybe not. I don't know how he makes his decisions. Kotick has been subpoenaed by the Securities and Exchange Commission for an investigation into how the company handled misconduct and disclosed it. Thus, what he knew and when, and what he told others, such as the board, is very important. Per the Wall Street Journal, the board of directors was blindsided by the California lawsuit's allegations. That's why their shareholders are suing them, including that an Activision employee killed herself after a photo of her vagina was circulated at a company party, according to people familiar with the board. Activision's board said in a statement it had been informed at all times with respect to the status of regulatory matters. I guess it wasn't. Okay, next story. Next sadness. So, do you remember when this happened and Frances Townsend, who loves torture, at Activision, she was like the leader of the Women's Council or whatever, I don't know, wrote this horribly tone-deaf email to employees about how she had never experienced any harassment. She had never had that happen to her. Well, it turns out, and so everyone was lying, right? And that it had mischaracterized a company that she had worked at for all of 6 months. Well, turns out she didn't write that email. You know who wrote it? Bobby Kotick. He wrote the fucking email. So, from Kotaku by Luke Plunkett. The email they include the full thing. The email understandably enraged employees, led to Townsend stepping down from her role as executive sponsor of the Activision Blizzard Women's Network, and to this day remains one of the most spectacularly ill-judged pieces of damage control from the company in a year where those have become all too common. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports that it was in fact besieged Activision Blizzard boss Bobby Kotick who wrote it. The story says that Kotick, who approves most internal company-wide emails as well as media responses, drafted the email himself. He then directed that it be sent under Townsend's name, likely because she was one of the few women executives at a company run predominantly by men. He offered her up as a sacrificial lamb, and she was slaughtered. Oh my god. I don't particularly like Frances Townsend, who likes, who is very pro-torture. I don't particularly like her. But that is a scum. It doesn't matter who she is. That is a scumbag move. You wrote it, and then he criticized the email. He issued a statement himself and called it tone deaf. Oh my goodness. Bobby. If Randy Pitchford is like the grease man, if he's the grease man, Bobby Kotick is like the tar man. He's just wading through the tar pits, the La Brea tar pits. It's just spewing from his pores. Holy cannoli. He wrote it. The top 10 anime twists. Fucking Kotick-san. He wrote the email. Can you believe that? This man is a maniac. I always knew Bobby Kotick was a maniac, but now we've got proof. Following this, the next day, from Shannon Liao. Exclusive, Activision Blizzard shareholders call on CEO Bobby Kotick to resign, and the board's two longest-serving directors, Brian Kelly and Robert Morgado, to retire by December 31st. The shareholders sent a letter to the board of directors this morning. That was on the 17th. So shareholders said in a letter that if Kotick, Kelly, and Morgado don't step down, they will not vote for the re-election of the current directors of the board at the next annual shareholder meeting in June. Quote, Activision Blizzard needs a new CEO, board chair, and lead independent director with the expertise, skill set, and the conviction to truly change the company's culture. We need to really have a reset button on the board, said shareholder SOC Investment Group's Dieter Weisenegger? Ooh, that's dangerous. It's a dangerous last name. Dieter Weisenegger. One of the shareholders that signed the letter, NEI Investments, said that it had decreased the number of shares it manages after Activision Blizzard was sued in July. Yeah, maybe a good idea. Vanguard, the company managing the most shares of Activision Blizzard at over 64 million shares, declined to comment on whether it would sign this letter and call for Kotick's resignation. As part of company policy, it doesn't comment on portfolio companies directly. BlackRock, which holds over 58 million shares, and Fidelity, which holds just over 24 million, both declined to comment on whether they would call for Kotick's resignation. So then, there was an internal document. Okay, next story. Fuck, which one of these happened first? So there was an internal document that then came out on November 16th. Sorry, it was written November 16th. So a day before that tweet went out announcing that the shareholder thing. So those are the shareholders, right? Those are the shareholders who are calling for them to get out. They're trying to drain them out. From the board of directors. Blah, blah, blah. The board remains confident that Bobby Kotick appropriately addressed workplace issues brought to his attention. A little further down. The board remains confident in Bobby Kotick's leadership, commitment, and ability to achieve these goals. Holy moly. Yeah, did Bobby write this? Obviously, he had to approve. He had to approve that. So, they just come straight out and they say it. We're standing behind Bobby. We're with him. He's our ride or die. This Bobby Kotick probably threatened to kill them too. Oh my god. He left murderous voicemails to them too. So then, are we at the end? No. Maybe? Yeah, I hope. On the 18th, Activision Blizzard's zero-tolerance policy, this is coming from Eurogamer, courtesy of Tom Phillips. Activision Blizzard's zero-tolerance policy on harassment won't apply to Kotick, staff reportedly told. Oh my god. Come on. That's real. It won't apply? Subheader, or subtitle. As there's no evidence of claims which occurred a decade ago. No evidence. Okay, which claims? Bobby Kotick was again defended by Activision Blizzard leadership last night during a company meeting. He's going to kill them if they don't. During a company meeting where employees were told its new zero-tolerance policy would not apply to claims made this week against its CEO. I wonder why. Because he's going to kill them. The all-hands gathering had been advertised as a place for employees to question the company's management, following this week's devastating report, which detailed numerous alleged instances of sexual assault and harassment at Activision Blizzard. This week's devastating report? Yeah, that he knew. Okay, that he knew. And which investigated Kotick's involvement in dealing with various cases. But staff heard little new, game developer reported, citing sources on the call who said that pre-screened questions were given answers repeating the company's pre-stated defenses. There was apparently nothing to suggest Activision Blizzard execs would not continue to stand by Kotick in the short term. When asked whether Activision Blizzard's zero-tolerance policy to harassment, something Kotick only announced last month, would apply to Kotick himself, staff were told no. Activision Blizzard execs said that they did not, quote, have evidence of Kotick's own alleged harassment of employees, such as the time he is claimed to have threatened to kill a staff member as these occurred over a day. He apologized for it. He apologized for it. What do you mean? He admitted it. You're not the law. You don't have to prove anything. Could he sue you for wrongful termination? He apologized. Employees were also told that the companies... No, they settled out of court. What the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? Is this a statute of limitations? They had a court case over this. Employees were also told that the company's upcoming Thanksgiving break had been extended, something staff suspected was an attempt to dampen further criticism. But pressure on Kotick remains, and as we learned last night, it is not just coming from those within Activision Blizzard. I knew it wasn't over. I just remembered this story. Jim Ryan, boss of PlayStation, reportedly expressed deep concern over this week's Activision Blizzard allegations. We do not believe, quote, we do not believe their statements of response properly address the situation, Ryan told staff members in an unprecedented email. I don't know what makes it unprecedented. Maybe, like, he just sent it out without being asked about, like, no pressure. A group of Activision Blizzard shareholders have asked for Kotick's removal, a sentiment expressed by some of the 150 staff members who organized a walkout earlier this week. There was another walkout. What was the walkout for? Yeah, it was about Kotick. Okay. I think this is the last one. PlayStation boss, same Eurogamer from Matt Wales. PlayStation boss has reportedly expressed deep concern to Activision over damning new allegations. So basically, just to go over it quickly and quackly. Jim Ryan sends out an email to staff. Jim Ryan, head of PlayStation, says, whoa, I feel like I had to burp, but I didn't. Has reported, so he said, basically saying, addressing kind of unprompted PlayStation's relationship to Activision Blizzard and being kind of hesitant, which is interesting, right? Because he doesn't have to say anything. I don't think anyone was looking at PlayStation for whether or not, for instance, they accept Blizzard games or your Activision games, right? I don't think anyone was necessarily looking at them. People were looking at Blizzard themselves. They were looking at the other companies that Kotick is a board member on. I think he's a board member on, like, Coca-Cola, I think. So he just kind of came out and said this, and it's interesting because in some level, yeah, you could say that that's PR. On another level, something that Asmongold had a video about this, and I think he does. I think he has a point. Is that, if you're PlayStation, you are expecting consistency, right? You're expecting, when you make a deal, especially with a big company like Activision Blizzard, you expect, like, we're going to get this out on time. And then when a gigantic fucking lawsuit happens, and it just keeps going. This has been 4 months, right? This has been going on 5 months since this has come out, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. It's going to keep rolling. And then you find out Overwatch 2 delayed. Diablo 4 delayed. Because, oh yeah, the guy who was the director on Diablo 4, they had to replace him because he left the company because he was accused of shit too. So like, so now you know, as PlayStation, you're thinking about like, we're going to advertise the PS5 with Diablo 4. We're going to advertise it that you can get Overwatch 2 on it. And now we're starting to reassess because you guys can't get your shit together, and it's actually kind of starting to affect us. It's actually kind of starting to create some lag in the pipeline, right? And I do believe that there's probably on some level he is genuinely upset by it. It is pretty upsetting news. I don't know if anything goes on at PlayStation. I don't know if there's problems there. But I can imagine. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he does genuinely care about the people who were affected. But Jim Ryan is only like a, you know, he's just the president, right? I don't know what's his. He's not CEO. I don't think. He's the PlayStation. He's like the president of the PlayStation division of Sony, right? Like, he is part of a gigantic machine. And he, even if there's like several other high up members on PlayStation who personally don't like what's going on, they're a business and they support people and they pay people and they get a product out and they manufacture stuff, and they're also part of a gigantic conglomerate of Sony. So they can't just snap their fingers and say, we don't, you know, the same way you can just block someone on your phone. They can't really just do that because there's a lot of moving parts, and these things are companies are giants. They are slow and lumbering, and they're gonna move their limbs slowly when they move around. And this might affect Sony's future relationship with Activision, especially since which one was it? Didn't the new COD Vanguard like suck? Didn't that like suck balls or something? It's kind of funny because I feel like there's never been a point where, because COD and Battlefield have always been like, not always, but since Battlefield started, you know, coming out, COD's older than it, I think. No, I've just got a dumb brain. I'm not remembering correctly. They've kind of ended up becoming like competitors, right? They're sort of going, you know, tit for tat, and I feel like it was always like they were always pretty on par in quality, or there was kind of there was a back and forth, not on par. That's not what I meant to say. There's kind of a back and forth of like, oh, COD's good this year. Oh, Battlefield's kind of bad this year. COD's bad this year. Battlefield's good this year. They're both a little meh. Oh, they're both good this year. This is like the first time I feel like that both of them have come out and people have just been like, damn. How's that new Halo, though? I'm really glad, actually, that the new Halo multiplayer is good. I'm glad that it's creating some variety in the shooter space. Because Halo does have, like, a cool, neat, like, open sandbox idea. People have been really enjoying it. I'm glad. That's cool. I don't have enough disk space for it. But it is free. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it out. How much is it? Or how much space is it? I'm curious. And what's great is that now it's just on, you know, just on Steam, which is rad. 50 gigs? Yeah, I don't got that. I'm trying to get the what the heck? I'm trying to, you remember when I had that whole saga with my Target gift card and how they literally, Target refused to let me, I don't know if I ever talked about that on the podcast. Target refused to let me buy like a 4 terabyte hard drive from their website. They just refused. They would not let me do it, which has kind of actually put a hold on some content plans that I had, which is lame, but, you know, Christmas is coming up. I don't make money right now, so I couldn't just buy it myself. Anyway, yeah, Blizzard, what the fuck, guys? Dude, how do you... It's just fucked, dude. It's just fucked. It's so... It's like, what is... I was telling my friends about this. It was like, what is going on? He's trying to kill people? It's like, it just keeps getting worse. Reset the clock, reset the clock, reset the clock, reset the clock. Turn on the light. Oh, Jesus. Criminy Christmas crackers. The hell was I? What was I talking about? Yeah, hard reset, as the shareholders said, I think it's a good call. I think it's what, if anything, it's what they need. Maybe just kill the entire company. It's gonna take a while, man. I don't know how you fix this. If Jen O'Neill's saying, this shit's fucked, the leadership cannot fix it. It's like, what is going on? Man, I asked for news and I got it. Talking for like an hour about this shit. Anyway, I want to talk about another thing, which is actually cool. It's actually cool. So I'm just sitting. So obviously, Losey asked the question at the start of this about easy inputs, right? And I said, hey, put a pin in that. Well, we're taking the pin out, baby. So, did I even have like a tab up for this? No. So, did I talk last week about it? This podcast, this podcast just manifests things, man. This podcast just creates things out of nothing. I was talking last week about how I was waiting on that news on Project L, and guess what? I'm not sitting here. I finished, so the last video, it came out a little later in the evening than I wanted it to, because I had some kind of whack problems with my with Premiere, and it kept crashing when I tried to export stuff, and then I fixed it. I don't know how I fixed it. I used like a different encoder. I used like some different settings, and then it fixed. I don't know what happened. So I finished that. I uploaded, make the thumbnail. I do all that, right? And then I'm like, whew, okay. The video's uploaded. All right, I'm done. I literally worked from like sun up to sundown to finish that. And I get up to make my dinner, and I made, what did I make? I was making a bean quesadilla. Wonderful. Highly recommend it. And as I'm making it, I'm listening to music. I was listening to Title Fight. Great post-punk band. And obviously I'm looking at YouTube to that, because I only listen to music on YouTube. I don't own any streaming services. And in the suggested box, there's a video from Sajam about Project L, and the first line of the title, it's a tag fighter, or it's 2v2, and I was like, what? Word? And I was like hyped. I didn't watch it on the spot because I wanted to like sit down and watch the actual like video of the reveal. And as I'm sitting there, or as I'm standing there, you know, waiting, I'm flipping the quesadilla, making my food. I'm thinking, I'm like, huh, so it's like a tag fighter, huh? Okay. Because when they first showed it off, it looked like it was like just a 1v1. It looked like they've obviously changed direction, or they found their direction, probably be more accurate. And I'm sitting there or standing there, and I'm like, okay, so it's a tag fighter. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm just coming up with ideas. I'm thinking about like what would be really crazy, what would be really funny to see, right? And I'm just thinking like, what if it had like if it's a tag fighter, what if it had like active tag from Marvel versus Capcom Infinite? What if it had active tag from Marvel Infinite? I'm just laughing to myself like that would be funny. And then I sit down to watch the reveal. And it's got fucking active tag, baby. Oh shit! Oh shit! There's that clip where Echo's comboing. He gets the launcher, and then he tags in Ari from the side of the screen, and then she comes in, continues the combo. I'm like, no way! How did I call that? Oh boy. That's sick. So if you don't know, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the game that no one played because the roster was bad and the graphics were bad, but really sick from a gameplay perspective. Really quite a shame that it got screwed over by basically like Disney and Marvel and stuff, who really gimped that roster, gimped their budget. But one of the coolest things, so an innovation or a design change that they made in Marvel Infinite was that the traditional format of the Marvel vs. Capcom series was it's a 3v3, so you get two teams, so you make your team of 3 characters, and then you can choose an assist for each of them, right? So you can call in your assist, which is whatever, you get like a choice of 3 different assists, and then you can call them in. It's on a short little cooldown, and then you can tag them in. You can tag them in to replace who you have like on point. And then, there's other like the only other way you can do like tagging to bring another character in is like you can do like a snapback, which is just when it's like any character can do it. It's like quarter circle forward plus tag, and then whichever tag button you press, it like selects the other character to tag. But if the attack lands, then it will snap the character back and tag in the one that you designated by which buttons you pressed. Or you had to do like a DHC. So you do a super and then you input, and while you're doing a super, you can do the input for another character's super, and you'll get it. They will come out and they'll do their super, and then your first character will be tagged out, and the character who came in is now going to be on point, right? Am I explaining that okay? I feel like that was a little confusing. Anyway, there were some sort of limited ways in which you could tag, and then you could call assists, and one of the big changes that they made in Infinite was they pared it down. They made, instead of 3v3, it's 2v2, so teams of 2, where it sort of like supplement a third character. You would pick like an infinity gem, and that every gem had like different effects, and you could build up like a gauge, and then you could go into like a super mode with it. It was neat. It's cool, and the reasoning for that, basically, I think that they said at the time was because a lot of times you would only really be playing 2 characters, and then your third character would basically be just used as an assist, which is honestly kind of true, because there's a lot of characters throughout, especially like Marvel 2, who like you only really run them for an assist, and only the one assist. Like Captain Commando sucks. He's a bad character, right? Very not good character. However, he is straight up the best anti-air assist in the game. It is amazing. Captain Corridor is like, he is on so many teams just because you can just hit a button and just boosh, just a pillar of hitbox above him to knock anyone out of the air. So they wanted to pare it down to be 2v2, where each character kind of had, I guess, more... It was more central to that you would play both of the characters. And they took out assists, so there's no calling assists in Marvel Infinite. Instead, they massively expanded tagging in. And notably, so you could do like guard cancel tag in. I don't know what it was called. Pretty sure, right? If I look up, I'm not like super familiar with Marvel, and I didn't play much of it. If I go on, I think the super combo has a page on Marvel Infinite. Yep. Okay, let me just look up system mechanics. No text on this page. Oh, okay. MVC I tag. Game mechanics. Right. Okay. Yeah, so tagging. Okay, I'm not saying anything specific about this combo. Okay. Yeah, there needs to be more active switch. I think that was what they called it, but it was like basically active tag is what it ended up being called. So the basic idea behind active tag is that there's a couple other tag mechanics if I remember correctly, but the basic idea behind active tag was that you do a combo, right? And then you tag in your other character, and they come in. Normally, when you would just raw tag in a character, in previous Marvel games, they would come in and they would do like a little taunt, and then they would be like ready. There's basically like a recovery period to tagging in. So that's why generally you don't just raw tag in your character. It's kind of disincentivized. It's, ideally you create some kind of situation where it's safe to tag in, like on knockdown maybe, or you do like a DHC and just get them in with like a super, because then they're immediately ready to go. In Marvel Infinite, you can do active tag, where you call them in and they are ready instantly, and you can continue the combo with them. So you can do your combo, active tag, and then your next character, you can continue the combo with them. And it is really cool. Especially when you mix in like all the Infinity Gem stuff that gives you all these different tools. So you can like create and construct these super interesting combo routes, depending on like which character you start the combo with. And like, okay, I can do this combo, and that's going to leave the enemy here, and then I can tag in my other character, and they can continue it. If the enemy's here, then like this height, I can active tag, and then I can do this other thing with this character. It'll go into that, and it's super cool. If it sounds intimidating, at a high level it is, but it's actually quite easy to jump in without knowing anything and just mash buttons and just do a basic combo, active tag, and then another just hitting buttons, right? Actually very easy and fun. And it lets you do cool, it gives you a taste of cool stuff, right? Because you do a combo, and then you active tag, and then you do a little more combo, and you're like, oh, what? And then you like start experimenting and trying stuff out. If you're of that mind, if you just want to jump in, then you can just, get what you get off of it. But if you really want to delve into it, there's so much. It's such a cool system. I love that it's being adapted into Project L. To bring it back to Project L. Apparently, a lot of the people who are working on Project L are big Marvel Infinite fans. And this is probably like their way of paying homage and bringing those ideas to fruition, except with a good roster and with graphics that don't suck. The graphical style, so a couple notes. I've written down a couple notes. I can talk about it. So visually, the game looks really nice. They have really nailed down a really nice art style. It's got a bit of a cell shading to it, without being incredibly not quite Marvel 3 cell shading, where it's super bright and saturated. The colors are very like murky. It feels like League of Legends. They've really captured, like, in my head, what I sort of imagine the world to look like, right? Because I'm actually, when I was playing League, in my League days, I was kind of a lore nerd. I do enjoy the lore of League a lot, and I really like the world and the characters. I just hate the fucking game. And in terms of like capturing, so the main stage that they showed, the only real stage that they showed off that was new, they've only showed off like 2 stages. There's one in like the desert in Shurima from way back when they first announced it, and then this one on a bridge from, I think, like Arcane. So I'm assuming it's in Zaun. And it looks appropriately murky and kind of dirty without being like, how would you say, dismal, right? Is that what I'm trying to say? It has a style to it. It's let me look at it, right? Let me project down. Let me look at it real quick, just to hi, yeah, Tony Cannon, Tom and Tony. There's a real okay. First of all, the colors are great. Like the whole deal with Zaun is that it's just like it's like not cyberpunk. It's like dystopian steampunk in a sense, except they don't use steam. They use like it's more like chemicals and crystal magic and stuff like that. And it's kind of dingy and gross. And the color palette has these like kind of like sickly greens and like the fog. But there's some really warm like street lights. The street lights are very like warm and orange, and it's not really overbearing. It just feels, you can feel the contrast. The whole tone is very like, has a very thick atmosphere. What am I trying to say? It has very thick atmosphere with the lighting, only kind of like, it reminds me of like, you know, like gas lamps and stuff like that. It feels like this kind of dingy dock, where a lot of things are covered in shadow and the skies are overcast. It has a great mood to it. The cell shading is also like appropriately not super much. There's a decent amount of like detail, and when you're doing cell shading, you sort of have to be very the process of adding details to things is, I feel like, a little more involved. Like you have to be very particular or very specific about what do you want to show, like certain bends and not bends, wrinkles in fabric, or like on Darius's axe you can see little like chips and cracks and stuff, because in cell shading so much of that gets just smoothed out. So you have to be very, it's like, yeah, it has like a decent, it has it looks like ink, right? It has, in the same way that Guilty Gear, Xrd and Strive, more so Xrd, let's say, in the same way that Xrd looks like a manga or an anime, this looks like a Western comic. Like if you go and check out the League of Legends comics, this has the same kind of look. It looks like that, but given the 3D Arc System Works art style treatment. It looks fantastic. I especially love the feedback on all the hits. Almost a little too much, maybe. I can definitely see there being an argument that there's too much hit stop. Like, especially in some of these like long combos that they show off with Echo. Pardon me. Like, these hits, come on, get to it. Yeah. Ba, 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 ba. Just these like heavy, everything feels very like chunky, but the animations are fluid. It's nice. The animators at Riot are top notch. I was not worried about this having, NRS tier animations. Yeah, just like the way there's this combo where Echo does this like launcher, like 3 jumping attacks and spikes. It causes a ground bounce, and then he does like grounded hit into another launcher up. Yeah. And every single hit is like bow, bow, bow. Creates this like maybe like a little less hit stop. I don't know, just a little bit on some of the lighter hits. Just it feels a little heavy. But the things like the trails behind all the weapons and all the attacks looks great. Like the key poses are fantastic. It's so easy. It's so visually clear what is going on, which can be sometimes kind of a problem, especially in like 2v2 games, right? And especially in like a tag team game where you've got other characters jumping in. You could have like 4 characters on the screen. The art style where like things kind of definitely pop out. Everything you can kind of see. Characters, the models have a kind of very subtle kind of black outline, which helps them just give a little bit of pop out from the environment. God, pausing this game, it really looks like just really nice concept art. And then it starts moving, and you're like, damn. Every single swing that Echo does has this just great green trail. You can see exactly like what he's doing. Even in these like sequences where he's doing these really complex like mix-ups. See if I can find it. Trying to find. Yeah. So there's like he does this whole thing where he like side switches. It's pretty crazy. Like he does this whole really long block string. Yeah. So he does like a few hits. How many hits does he do right here? And this just like 1, 2, 3, 4. He does like a 4-hit string, mixing in mids and lows into a special. So it seems like it honestly has like a pretty liberal cancel system. It looks like it's using cancels, which makes sense for this kind of game. Another low. And then again, he teleports back to his clone. And then overhead. Another overhead. Jump. Cross up. Cross up again, he goes back to his clone. Then what the fuck is he even doing? This is like so... It's wild. Like the stuff that you're seeing... He lands again. He goes like so quickly from airborne hit to then ground and then another hit. And then... low, and then he goes underneath him, and then he teleports back again. It's crazy, but it's all quite understandable. I feel like even to an audience that is not familiar or used to watching fighting games or faster paced games, because the game looks fast, it looks very understandable, and there's like a lot of, I've seen like comments, because I'm really curious how like the League audience is gonna, you know, react to this. And I've seen a lot of comments about like, this shit looks cool. Like, this looks cool. There's no like, what is this? What's going on? I don't know. It's, yeah, they seem genuinely like enthusiastic. It's not like confusing, which is good. Another thing I want to talk about is like, speaking of these combos, this game, like, if this is how they want, so in the initial like clip that they show of the game, they have this, like, they started off with this really wild whole combo from Echo, where he's doing like the active tag, he's doing all this. So it's like double jump? That's crazy. It might be a special, I don't know. So he does this, no, where's like the big long combo that he does? I'm looking for it. Okay, yeah. So he gets like a combo starter with an assist. Okay, no, it cuts. Okay, it might be a different, okay. It might be a different combo then. Okay. But still, if you look at the stuff that like Ari's doing, maybe she's just not super high damage, but when you look at some of the really intense stuff that they showed off, I wonder, like, how high is the damage going to be in this game? Because Echo does this crazy at the like minute 30 mark. He does this whole off of like a single mid. Yeah, that's a single mid. That looks like a light attack. He gets like a launcher, and then he follows up with assist. Like, how long are the or how damaging are these combos going to be? How intense is the scaling going to be? Is it going to have guts? I have no idea. You have to kill 2 characters. So like, I'm honestly very curious about like how, Jesus, there's this Ari combo that goes on for freaking ever at minute like 49. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I even counting that right? Am I even counting that right? Let me count how many hits are in this one combo from Ari. 1, or what was that? Was that like a count? What the heck? They like collide. She does this like shoulder check or something, or like elbow check. What? She does so 1. It causes like a stagger? Is that like a system mechanic? Yeah, he's in like a stagger state. What? They like collide. It looks like reminds me of like Blitz Shield from Exert. What? And she does this like 1, 2, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sets the orb 8, 9, 10, sets the orb 11, 12, 13, sets the orb 14, 15, yeah, like 15, plus super. So it's like 15, 16 hit combo followed by super. That's pretty, like, honestly pretty intense. That's with a single character. That's with no tags. I don't know if this is going to have, like, DHCs or whatever. Yeah. I'm honestly, one of the things that I'm curious about are how long are these combos going to be, and how much damage are they okay with them dealing? Is this going to be like, you can TOD off of like any hit? That was just off of like a mid. Next thing, because there's a lot to go over, because they showed off a lot. A good vertical slice, I think, is what they described it as. They called it themselves a vertical slice. So, They showed a little. There's no UI in this. There's no controls really shown, but they do show move sets, sort of. So they show like Darius, right? And he has apprehend, which is S1. I'm assuming that's special 1, and he can do. That's his like classic hook move, where he uses his axe and pulls you in. The starter of many many snowballs in the top lane. So he has like the normal version of it. I'm assuming S1 is special 1, and then he has a command version of it where he can do down special 1. And that is like an anti-air command grab that slams and gives him wall bounce, or sorry, ground bounce. So it's like, oh, could he do that? And then like, because it looks like he has quite a bit of time to get a hit. Like, it looks like a medium button or a strong button could probably hit Echo while he's bouncing. And then they show apprehend, like the regular version. You can hit it says like special 1 for apprehend, and then A1, which I'm assuming is attack 1. I'm willing to bet that. I'm assuming what's going on is that every character is going to have 3 normals and then 3 specials, which is kind of what I think I predicted. I manifested this into existence. 3 normals and 3 specials. So A1, I'm assuming, is like attack 1, and then followed by attacks 2 and 3. And then special 1 with specials. Pardon me. Specials 2 and 3. I am also assuming that pretty quickly after the game comes out, or if it's in beta, which they'll probably have like a bit of a beta period, the terminology is probably going to shift to like ABC and then maybe like XYZ for the specials. I don't know. I'm not sure what Rising Thunder's notation was, but generally in like 3-button 6 or games that use this kind of like 3-button and 3-button format, usually numpad notation. Also, actually, because Riot is such an international company, numpad notation is probably good for the community. So so he can do his apprehend, he can do his pull, he can do his command grab, and then hit. I'm gonna call. Right now, I'm going to start using it. So you can do like 5x with an A follow-up, headbutt, which causes like, looks like a hard knockdown? Not sure what hard knockdowns look like in this game. Then he can do a 5S, or 5x, with a C follow-up, an attack 3 follow-up, the slash follow-up, which launches them away. That looks like it's a combo ender, honestly. I could see that being like a combo ender. Or actually, wait, no, he starts it? So then immediately prove me wrong. Slash follow-up, combo starter. And then he does like this whooshy spin, which looks just like his, is it Decimate? Is that what his Q is in League? I forget what the name was. It's his spinny move. You can kind of tell because all of his specials use all of his normals seem to use like the silver streak following the blade, and his specials it looks like they use the red streak, which is actually a really nice little visual indicator. I think Echo does the same thing, where his I'll double check it in a second. So yeah, he fits in. He does the apprehend with the slash follow up, and then he combos off of that, and then he does the anti-air apprehend, and then he continues the combo, and then he ends in the spin, and he does this just crazy cross up stuff. He can charge it, so this game has charged normals, unless that's just like, yeah, immediately after that, he can charge. It looks like he's charging his blow. Air hit, ground bounce, anti-air command grab, and then he does an assist. Oh yeah, this game also has assists, dude. It's crazy. This game's gonna be wild. Does it? Then does like a really long jump into a jump in, into another combo, into a super. Like that combo's crazy. Darius is probably gonna, and that's all from a cross up. That is from a cross up. He gets all of this is off of a cross up. Crazy. This is like a 1, 2 with like charged 3. He gets in like 2 charged normals. And then he uses the Jinx to get the full screen combo extension into a special. That's why I have to say, like, the combo damage, or the damage in this game has to be like either not that high, or the scaling's got to be incredible, or the or there's got to be a guts system. I don't know. So when Echo uses his normals, he's got the green, but when he uses his specials, it adds in the pink. And perfect. So Echo uses, so whenever he's just using his sword normals, it's like a green streak, and then his little time rewinder doohickey on his back has this like purple energy whenever he uses it. Right, so after he uses a special, he has to like, because it looks like all of his specials use the little timed capsule on his back, and he has to like crank the ripcord every time he uses it. So it like after you use it, it glows with that like pink purple color, and then he pulls it and it like dispels the energy or whatever. And so you can see that the energy is also being like added into his attacks when he uses his specials, and that's why you have the little pink effect added to the existing green like swoosh marks on his there's got to be a term for that, you know, the hit trails, the attack trails. That is really nice. The visual clarity in this game is like really something to commend. Like, I totally understand what's going on, even though it looks complicated and might even be really pretty difficult to do, depending on, you know, where the game goes. I'm really into this. The more that I look at it and the more that I break it down, the game looks fast and very, like, honestly, a little, like, execution intensive in a good way. It, like, in a way that, like, it looks fun to do, or it looks like you can watch someone do some cool shit and be like, damn, this game is rad. Even if I can't do that. Like, I do that with fighting games that I play. I say, damn, I can't do that right now. But it makes me want to do that. Or it just makes me, like, respect the player, or respect the game. I'm curious if, because there's some stuff with Ari, if she has that same... I want to see if Ari has that same idea. Huh. Okay, yeah, so it looks like all of her normals use this like blue effect, which is like her spirit orb stuff, and then her specials add in like a yellow flash. Okay, that makes sense. Even her super includes the bit of yellow. Okay. I don't know what else to say other than this is really cool. Oh yeah, there was one comment that they made. So Tom and Tony Cannon, they get up and they're, you know, talking about the game, and they had some things to say that I really liked. Namely, talking about like the skill ceiling and kind of how they want the game to be difficulty wise. And I think that they might have learned, they're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? So like they had this comment that immediately stuck out to me, and it was something along the lines of the game, it's not about, you know, talking about making the game accessible to new players. And they said something like, it's not about making a game where new players can beat the pros. It's about making a game that anyone can enjoy. And I immediately had flashbacks to Street Fighter V's launch. So if no one remembers, or if you were never heard about this, back when Street Fighter V launched, Capcom, they were positioning the game as... So part of the reason that the game failed, I could do a whole breakdown on why that game had a bad launch. Didn't fail, but it had a bad launch. Part of the reason was Capcom... So they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted the casual audience, but they also wanted the competitive audience. And by their decisions, they ended up actually alienating both. Not directly, just like they made several decisions that like separately hurt both sides. And some hurt both. Sometimes the same decision hurt both as well. But anyway, so one of the things was they had an exhibition match where Daigo, probably the most famous Street Fighter player, obviously known for Evo Moment 37, one of the most important moments in fighting game, maybe esports history, where he was, and coming off of a very successful tour with Street Fighter 4. Very successful few years, like run of that game's lifespan. They had an invitational match where Daigo played the rapper Lupe Fiasco. And Lupe won. He won the match. He won the set. And people were notably in arms about this. And it's interesting because you go back and you look, and so the thing about Daigo is that this was before the game had even launched, right? So I don't think he'd had that much chance to play it, if at all. The thing is that Daigo honestly, he learns games slowly. If you know anything about his mindset or the way that he approaches fighting games and learning them, fighting games are kind of just like a vehicle for his way of life, if you really listen to him talk about it. He's very zen-like, and he's very like, he just wants to experiment, and he wants to see what he can do, and he follows the path that opens up to him. And so, obviously, he wants to play the new Street Fighter before it releases, and they want him to do this exhibition match, sure. And you can tell in that set that he's just messing around. Daigo is literally just experimenting. He's just experimenting. He's taking this character that he's been playing for the last 2009 to 2015, the last 6-7 years. Ryu, and he's trying him out in this new game. Is he's just saying like, okay, what can he? Oh, does that work? Oh, does this work? How does this game feel? And he's just kind of messing around. He's obviously not going. He could probably beat Lupe with just raw fundamentals and like no combos at all. He could beat Lupe by just shuffling back and forth and hitting low forward. The meme about Ryu players. But he lost, and there was notably some uproar around that. And in response to this, like they Capcom spins this in the moment as a good thing. And there's this infamous clip of Combo Fiend, who was the community manager at the time, and someone asked him like, what do you make of the fact that this non-pro casual player beat Daigo, right? And Combo Fiend goes, well, I think it goes to prove that in this game anyone can be a champion, and yada yada. And it seemed like Capcom really misunderstood what attracted casual players or attracted people to the game. And they thought like, oh, if we make the game quote unquote easier, anyone can be a champion, when that's really not true. It's really not true. Not just anyone, right? And that's not even how the game turned out, because that's just not how games with any, and no competitive game worth its salt is going to work like that. So that was I immediately, as soon as I forget if it's Tom or Tony who says it, that like it's not about making a game where new players can beat the pros. I feel like that was a direct addressing of the fears that Riot is going to make a watered down, simple fighting game for babies, you know, and try to market it as the next big esports title. Oh, please, everyone play our game. Anyone can win at our game. And they were like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about you should be able to have fun at your skill level. And the pro, no matter if you're totally new or you're a pro, and that's what we're aiming for. Honestly, I think that is really reassuring. Are they going to do it? I don't know. I have faith because they've been in the FGC, and I feel like if there's anyone that I have faith in, it's probably Tom and Tony Canada, the guys who founded Evo and made rollback netcode. So yeah, honestly, incredibly reassuring. I was very I didn't have doubts or anything. Oh, also, it's going to be rollback. There was never any question that the online for this game was going to be just splendid. And it's going to be free to play. I'll probably put some time into it. I'll see if it catches my fancy. It has that Power Rangers Battle for the Grid style inputs. But then, you look at Battle for the Grid, and that is not a game. We talked at the beginning of the podcast about how you got to design your game around your inputs and stuff like that. Battle for the Grid's a perfect example of something that is even closer to this game, which is it uses basically, from the looks of it, the same Smash style special inputs. And in Battle for the Grid, I've put some time into it, just a little bit. It doesn't necessarily make it easy. Some parts of it are easy, like, you don't have to do motions. That's part of it. But also, there's a neutral game. There's assists. There's other systems that you have to deal with and that you have to utilize and work around and play all the fighting game stuff. Play mind games with your opponent. And then in terms of actually doing the combos in Battle for the Grid are not that easy, right? I sat down and I tried, and I don't have particularly good execution, and my brain will sometimes just really struggle to wrap my head around a combo. But I sat down and I tried to do some bread and butter combos for some of the characters that I liked, and they require what they lack in, I guess, having to do a physical motion, they make up for in things like length is one of them. I'm not super familiar with the game, so I can't make super confident statements about it, but yeah, they are long, and there's a lot of opportunity to drop them. That's sort of the tension in Marvel 2, right? Marvel 2 is a game where, a lot of characters have infinite combos, but, can you do them? Can you keep it up the entire time? Because if you don't, it's almost like slinging nukes back and forth between two opponents. Can you actually do it? And the misconception is that every pro player can do the hardest combos every time. And yeah, maybe for some players, right? Like Johnny players in Exert, those people are crazy and they're willing to learn a different combo for every single character in the game because of the way that Johnny's combos work and different weight classes and hurt boxes. You have to do it differently. right? I play a character in Schoolgirls, Valentine. She has a part of like one of her combos that changes depending on the character, because like there's like a whole timing aspect to it. You have to like air dash back in after like an air string, and if you're too early, depending on the weights, if you can be too early and totally, or too late and totally miss them, right? Weight and hurt box size. Schoolgirls has weight classes. Pretty sure. I'm not sure. They have pretty different like body shapes though, so it's kind of similar idea. So Battle for the Grid it's designed around that, and it's still a game where like basically every character has a touch of death combo. The trick is, can you do it, and can you get to it, right? In a way, it almost makes the neutral game, if it's properly balanced and there aren't characters who can just, skedaddle, skadoodle, I skip neutral, it almost makes the game more neutral focused, because like if you lose, it's like almost more integral that you don't lose neutral and that you have to have good footsies. I'm really curious as to how Project L turns out. It looks like the combo system, it reminds me a lot of like an Arxis fighter, or just kind of anything. See, now that I've been playing like Street Fighter, and I've been playing a little bit of KOF, I've been playing a little bit of CVS2, one of the things that I noticed with that style compared to the easiest frame of reference for me is like Plus R, is that in a game like Plus R or Guilty Gear, when you talk about like those games having really liberal combo systems, like there's gattlings and the fact that you can like cancel stuff into everything else. But really, one of the I think most overlooked things about like a liberal combo system is how many states are there where you can hit someone, right? Like, have I talked about this in the podcast? I don't know. I need to keep better track of this. Like, in some games, you hit someone out of the air and they're just invulnerable until they hit the ground. And like, Plus R, for instance, or in pretty much every Guilty Gear game, the only time that someone is actually unable to be hit is when they are on the ground. And sometimes not even if you're a dirty fucking cliff player. Sometimes not even. If you have moves that like OTG and stuff. Hit off the ground, in case you're wondering. And this looked, from what we see in this video of showing off the game, it looks like they're very generous with like, you get this hit and they don't just like hit the ground, right? They hit the ground and they bounce, and you can pick that up. You can pick up the combo. You can continue it. They hit the wall and they bounce off of the wall. You launch them full screen. Pardon. You launch them full screen, and then you can do an assist that keeps them stunned for long enough that you can jump in and continue the combo. Like, I can't really imagine that in something like Street Fighter, unless it's for a very specific character, right? Like, that's their thing, that they can do stuff like that. And, I've been playing some CVS2 recently. Really fun game. But getting a combo that's longer than, like, 4 hits is, like, impossible in that game. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Unless you're running, like, A Groove and you have, like, custom combos or something like that. Because that's a game where it's, like, you get a few hits and that's it. And you just kind of go back and forth like that. It's a bit of a slugfest. So yeah, I'm really actually honestly looking forward to Project L. I have a renewed confidence where there was cautious optimism beforehand. The online's going to be great. It's going to be free to play. Looks like it's got some really fun characters. Honestly, like, I'm really down for the types of designs they're going for. Like, I was trying to think, you kind of do this thing in your head when you've played a lot of these games where you go, oh, that's like this other character. Oh, it's like this other character from this other game. You just, like to use, not to discredit the creativity, but of designers or whatever, but just to like give yourself a frame of reference, because also a lot of terminology in fighting games is shared between games, like within the community. Like whatever game does a certain thing first, that's just like the genre term for it now, right? So, I was looking at like what stuff like Echo was doing, and I'm like, I cannot think unless, maybe like Bedman. Maybe like Bedman from Xrd, where he's like doing a special and then he can rewind. But Bedman, that's like different. With Bedman, it's like mostly like a pressure tool where he doesn't actually like go back to the spot. He just replays the special from wherever he did it initially, but he can still move independently. Echo is like, his usage of that type of a mechanic is way more like multifunctional. He can use it as like combo enders, as like a combo extender, as a bunch of stuff. I really like how Darius, he looks like he's got, this command grab move, but he's using it as like a combo tool. Interesting ways of having grapplers, interesting designs for grapplers are always cool. I love watching like Coma in Melty Blood. What characters would I want to kind of end this episode off? What characters do I want in the game? My first like wish list character would probably be Set. I really enjoyed Set when he came out, and he kind of works perfectly for this kind of a setting in this kind of a game, because he is a fighter. He is a pit fighter. Door fighter. And I think that I think he could definitely have I don't know, he just makes sense. He just seems like kind of a no-brainer pick. Who else? Tom Kench. I want Tom Kench, my big catfish guy. I want him to have a move where he like vores the opponent. Maybe like Umbrella from Skullgirls. He like vores them and he can like spit them out. Oh, but maybe he can have like different angles that he can spit them out. And he can do like he could maybe have something that works in like his passive. It's like in League, his passive was he would apply these like stacks, and then once he was at 3 stacks, his abilities got like enhancements. Like he had this tongue lash move, and it normally was just a slow, but if they had 3 stacks on them, it would stun them. And then he had this like Devour move, and normally you could only use it on like everything except for enemy champions, unless they had 3 stacks on them, and then you could swallow them and spit them out, and it would do like big like percentage health damage. That was always really fun. He would be cool. Fiddlesticks is another one I think would be rad. Fiddlesticks. There's like a lot of League of Legends champions. Who else would be cool? Please load for me. There's 140 of them. We've only seen 4. Was there anyone else? I guess they were workshopping Katarina in that like pre-release, like early. The first time they showed it off, they had Katarina. Maybe they scrapped her. I don't know. Who else would be cool? Diana, Elise. I'm trying to think. Hecarim would be neat, like a big horse guy, big demon horseman. Heimerdinger would probably be an annoying ass, like a new 13 or something. It's just a character who sets up little bullshit turrets. Everyone hates playing against Heimerdinger. Oh, Jin! Oh, Jin's like one of my favorite champions. He would be so sick. Yo, he could have like a whole bullet system where like, oh, that would be so cool. I'm just imagining like Jin in a fighting game where he has like, Jin's whole deal in League is that he has 4 bullets. And then after he shoots the last bullet, he has to reload, but the last bullet crits. And so he's all focused around getting that big crit hit. He's so satisfying to play. And then once he gets the crit, he gets like a movement speed bonus. He's super fun to play. LeBlanc might be neat, although she might just be like Echo, where she can just go back to her position. She can just teleport back to where she like cast a spell and all that. A lot of these are honestly good contenders. A lot of League characters actually would probably fit. Oh, Orianna? She's just Manat. Orianna would literally just be Manat. From SF5, that's literally just what she would be. I always loved playing. Orianna was another one of my favorite mid champions. She was the only mage that I ever really enjoyed besides like Vhagar. Shaco would be cool. Who else? How would Singed work? Would he just be like an annoying keep away character, like he is in League, or just like a please chase me character? Twisted Fate might be cool. Oh, Zed's definitely gonna be in there. Yeah, Zed's gonna be in there. Yasuo's also probably gonna be in there. There's some pretty safe bets. There's some safe bets on who we're gonna be seeing. There's some like, the really popular characters. Obviously, Jinx is in there. Echo's in there. Darius is pretty well known. I don't know how much play he sees competitively recently, but yeah. If you're familiar, leave down in the comments what you would what characters you think actually would work well, because I'm actually kind of curious. I always love brainstorming what characters would be like if they were in fighting games. So I'm genuinely, Ahri, they're going with the fan favorites. Although I do want the weird picks. I want Mundo. Why does Mundo on the official League website still use his old splash art from before his rework? What? That's weird. It's funny. Okay. I would like some weird picks. Aurelian Soul would be really cool. Shout out to Ao Shin. Little throwback. Ow, my shin. I don't know. Kassadin might be badass. I always thought Kassadin was cool. Some people think he looks dumb. I think Kassadin looks cool. I always liked his whole shtick. His teleports are fun. Give him like a teleport dash. Fuck it. Let him do teleport. Give him a teleport dash, and then let the dashes be jump cancelable, and then let pre-jump frames be special cancelable, and just give him Slayer backdash cancels. Yeah, actually, like Echo was doing some really. There might be like dash canceling stuff in this game. I think there probably, if it wasn't in what they showed off, there might already be. The movement looks very, I think Max said it looked very Marvel, like very Marvel 3. Like Echo was doing some straight up Magneto movement. Yeah. Poppy maybe? Who are some good like weirdo characters? Oh, Rengar would be perfect. Rengar would be perfect for a fighting game. He's so cool. I'm trying to think of good weirdo characters from League. Tom Kench, I already said. Skarner. Hell yeah. Thresh? Yeah, Thresh works. Yeah, that would be good. I don't know. I'm expecting. I'm gonna say like 12, anywhere from like 12 to 16 characters on launch. 12 at the lowest. Probably 16 at most. I'm gonna call it here. Although there's not going to be a dev update for probably another few months. They said that they were going to keep us posted with more stuff. Azir might be a cool puppet character. Keep us posted with more stuff when it more often than, you know, there was a 2-year wait in between the announcement and now. So they said they were gonna, I think, say at least like 2 updates in the next year. So I'm not expecting it till literally 2023. They are really putting some time in this, and I'm all for it, because I want to see a really good game with characters that I like in it. Put in my boys. Put in Mundo. Put in Renekton. Put in Tom Kench. Whenever I go over my favorite characters from League, I realize that they were all like, except for like Jhin, they're all just like the big fellas. They're all the big boys. Yeah. All the Scion. Yeah, that's another one of my favorites. They're all the big boys. Oh, and Twitch. I love Twitch. I love Twitch. It was my favorite ADC in League. I love that he's just a little rat guy and he just skitters around and he's just a little man. I love this is my little rat guy. Ooh, my voice is getting tired. I'm kind of hungry. So, I'm going to call it a day. We only really talked about like 2 things, but they were a meaty 2 things. And, so yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll definitely get to them next time. Tell me what characters you want to see in the League fighting game, or who you think would be cool. I want to hear it. Anything else I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I already talked about hitting 1K, I think. There will be an update on the tournament in a few days, and I'll let you guys know about that. Thanks everyone for all the support. Have a good Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for everyone who has watched my videos and enjoyed them. I'm honestly very glad that I was able to entertain people and make them laugh and teach them something. You know, tell them about something they didn't already know. That's my pre-Thanksgiving thank. All right, bye.